English learners often dislike, hate, or simply tire of reading. Why is that? Well, I think there are two basic reasons. Number one, we often think that reading equals test prep. English learners often think that reading is the same as test preparation, and obviously nobody likes test preparation, I don't think. Number two, the texts they read are too hard. So what's the solution? Well, one, we need to read for pleasure, right? That's important. And what is it? We'll talk about that here in this little video. And two, we need to get the level right. All right, so here I am. I'm Joseph Polshock, aka Dr. Shock. My PhD is in linguistics from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and I think Scotland is great. I have over 25 years teaching experience, teaching English to English learners, and also over 10 years experience teaching English teachers how to teach English. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe and share them with others. And if you don't, give me some comments and feedback to help me do a better job. So are you not enjoying reading? Well, the answer and the solution is to read for pleasure and to also get the level right. So the right level is key. So please remember Stephen Krashen's elemental theory, the input hypothesis, the input theory, the comprehensible input hypothesis. Remember that a good theory lights your way and it guides you to smart learning. It saves you time and energy. So here is Krashen's input hypothesis. It says this: we acquire languages by understanding messages. I like to say it with a little bit of flair. We acquire languages by understanding messages. So what is the right level? Well, I like the 98% rule. This is the understandable part of that theory. Excuse me. Know 98% of the words in the text so that you can read for pleasure. And so when you know 98%, you can enjoy. Let's take a look at a text where we know 70% of the words. Two welles were louding through the bants. As they loudered, they waned the beautiful colors. They gipped to the buttles of the wind in the balloons. But then everything became kype. The welles nimmed around. They frinned that something Jarvis was going to plume. Then all of a sudden a big black stace came out of the bants. The stace adare up and made a great buttle. For a thibe the welles didn't move. They just adare there tuned. Then one of them holt. He holt uje and got up a nearby bloon. He was duffening only about his dowricks. So the red words are fake, which means that we all know only 70% of the words in this text. And our word power only covers 70% of this text, so we have what we call 70% coverage. Now let's look at a text where we know 98% of the words or have 98% coverage. Two men were loudering through the woods. As they loundered, loudering, right? Two men were loudering through the woods. These fake words are tricky. Two men were loudering through the woods. As they loudered, they enjoyed the beautiful colors. They listened to the buttles of the wind in the trees. But then everything became quiet. The men looked around. They felt that something bad was going to happen. Then all of a sudden, a big black bear came out of the woods. The bear stood up and made a great buttle. For a second, the men didn't move. They just stood there surprised. Then one of them ran. He ran away and got up a nearby tree. He was thinking only about his safety. So with 98% coverage, you can guess the unknown words from other words, and so you really don't need a dictionary. So if you look at loudering through the woods, as they loudered, looks like moving or walking, yeah? Makes sense. And then the bear stood up and made a great buttle. They listened to the buttle, so that means sound or noise or something like that. So here we see that when we know 98% of the words, it's easier to guess the unknown words from context. So when we're thinking about reading, when we want to read for pleasure, we need 98% coverage. So for pleasure reading, read at 98% coverage. You need to know 98% of the words in a text. For listening and fluency practice, I recommend that you know 100% of the words in a text. And for shorter study reading, 90 to 95% coverage is basically the limit. Now, if you want to do I hate reading, torture reading, then try 70% coverage. So how do you check your coverage? Well, the simple rule is you should have 2 to 3 unknown words per page. Now you can calculate it as well. So for example, find a 300 word section, count the words up, 300 words, and then if you find 5 unknown words, you can get your coverage like this. 300 is the total number of words minus 5 unknown words equals 295 known words. So 295 divided by 300 equals 0.983 times 100 gives you 98.3% coverage, which is good for pleasure reading. Now let's talk about test prep. A word about test prep. Test prep can kill the joy of reading. Here's a quote from the famous reading teacher Donalyn Miller in her excellent book, The Book Whisperer. She says, "Endless test prep is the number one reason that students come to my class hating to read." Ouch. An experienced reading teacher tells it like it is. Endless test prep is the number one reason that students come to her class hating to read. So don't just test. Don't just study for tests. Read texts and books and stories that interest, help, and inspire you. And if you don't like it, if it's not interesting, put it down and find something else until you find that home run book that really gives you pleasure and reminds you of the joy of reading. So are you bored with reading? Are you tired of reading? Do you hate reading? Get the right level and read at 98% so that you know 98% of the words in the text so that you can enjoy it. And then read for interest, inspiration, help, and pleasure. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate very much you watching this video with me. I look forward to hearing your comments in the comment section below. I am Joseph Polshock, aka Dr. Shock. I am a language coach at languagesuperpowers.com and a content creator at ReadOasis.com.